What you doing here, Brett?
It's time for a couple of catch cans and the battery has to go.
So we're gonna
fill
it with something more useful.
Let's say goodbye to this bad boy.
Get rid of this big lump of lead.
And say hello to beautiful catch cans.
Seiko Mishi, custom built. So what cabling have we got here, Brett?
We have the 50mm squared
Double insulated.
flexi weld cable, yeah, double incy.
It's nice stuff.
Yeah,
Very nice.
from our proud sponsors at Electra.
Yeah, electric cable.
We got a switch that they'll probably turn a fucking house on and off. Couple of terminals for when it's in the boot. Fuck yeah. And the masterpiece. Nice big dizzy block.
Beautiful.
Same as Orange was.
So today we're going to be putting Brett's battery from his engine bay into his boot. So we're going to use the same method, or pretty much the same method that I used on my Forester, which is utilizing the spare wheel space in the boot. So basically, as you can see on the screen, you put the battery where the spare wheel is, a slight bit of modification, and then you just invert the wheel to sit over the top of the battery, which frees up the boot for everything else. So what you're going to need: a distribution box, some double insulated welding cable, an isolation switch, battery terminals, crimp lugs, 4-gauge cable possibly, cable ties, loom tube, heat shrink, etc. and basic hand tools, so sockets, spanners, a drill, a grinder, and it all depends what method you use, but just basic stuff. So if you've got a turbo vehicle with a top mount, you're obviously going to have to take the top mount off, because we're going to actually run a positive cable from the battery to the kill switch, and then from the kill switch to the positive terminal on this starter motor. So you may as well get that off now while you're getting rid of the battery. Well, that's sort of right. That config before isn't the one that I did on my Forester, but we have since changed the plan, and what you can see on the screen now is what we ended up running in Brett's car. Alright, so to get the battery in the boot, this is what I did in my Forester. I don't think anyone else has really done this, but this actually saves up a lot of boot space. What we do is take the spare tyre out, and then we cut this little knob here that the tyre screws into, which I'll show you. So as you can see here, the spare tyre normally screws into there, so we're going to actually hole saw that out, and then we just got to flatten out each corner where the battery's going to sit, and then the battery will sit in there, and then we'll just drill 2 holes where the 2 mounting brackets or pins, clips, whatever you want to call them, will go, and then the tyre just sits inverted from what it usually was. There you go, Brett's grabbed them, so they'll just screw into there like so, and the tyre will just sit over the top of the battery, and you've still got all this free boot space. Don't forget your safety gear.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
No chance.
I don't know about you, mate, but I think we have to break out the big guns.
Yeah.
Take 2. Alright, Sharpie. Outside pouch.
Like on the pouch, but on the outside of it. On the split pouch.
Oh, the lad bag pouch.
Lad bag.
So now it's just a matter of basically marking out your battery where it's going to sit. Then this next step's highly technical, as we'll show you in a sec.
So technical you can try it at home.
Do try this at home.
Gotta let the professional do this one.
So yeah, basically just got to flatten these corners down Then we'll seal them back up with some Sigaflex and spray them black or whatever, or white. So this will enable the battery to actually sit pretty flat. This probably gives us, well, as you can see there, another probably 10 mil of drop under the wheel. Hopefully Brett marked these lines in the right spot. Oh,
Of course he did.
beautiful, mate. So, moment of truth. Got something to put over the positive terminals. Moment of truth. Is Brett's battery the same size as my one?
Please. That'd be where the terminals are, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's true, yeah.
Where it lips up.
Yeah, so you're right. So the lowest part of the wheel, as you can see, the hub center, it is where the water access ports are for the battery.
And it's clearing by a couple of mil.
Yeah, so we got probably, what, 5 mil. So where the actual terminals are on the battery, as Brett said, are actually over here in this more concave section of the wheel. So I think we should be cooking with gas on this one.
Where are they from?
Don't you keep your spare bolts there? So we have decided to run the isolation switch inside the guard, pointing back out into the engine bay, basically next to where the distribution box is. So to get to that, we just need to take the inner splash guard out, and we can pretty much get just our hands up there to do up the bolts and mount the isolation switch. Can you dangle the switch in place?
Can even find the bloody switch. Is that the blinker again?
Yep. After I just put it back in.
Thanks, Carl.
What a dickhead.
Hello. Hi there.
So now with the kill switch and the distribution box mounted, we can start doing the fun stuff, not really, and start running cables under the car. Looking a bit dangerous here, Brett. What are we doing?
We gotta drill holes and we can't hit fuel tanks.
That sounds very dangerous.
And we got batteries.
Let you take the reins on this one. So we're just going to put these grommets for both the positive and negative terminals of the battery to run back out of the wheel well. And the negative will mount to a chassis rail just outside the boot here. And the positive, we've already got the wire run ready, so that will just come through to the positive terminal on the battery. Who put that battery there?
Oh, I don't know.
Bloody hell.
Oh, this is perfect.
Now that is professional with a capital P. I'm going to just roll him up.
Ding ding.
Show us how it's done, Mr. Sparky.
Oh, I haven't done it in a couple of years.
So you just crimp it straight on that rubber stuff now.
Yeah, yeah.
Good
You
conductor.
don't want the copper to touch. You never want copper to touch.
Alright, but seriously, all jokes aside, it's so important to get a good solid crimp, especially on a major cable like this, the one running from the battery all the way up to the front.
Ta-da!
So, guys, remember, if you're heat shrinking, this is the time to put your heat shrink or your sheath or whatever it is on. Otherwise,
Bad news.
unless it's bigger than the whole terminal itself, you got to start again. And the reason we're not heat shrinking these is because we've run out of big heat shrink.
So don't do that.
Lovely. Put some elbow grease in it, mate.
Oh, I'm all out of elbow grease. I've only got wrist grease.
So, with the positive side all done at the battery, we're back up the front now to connect the positive side up to the kill switch, which will then allow us to cut the cable that we don't need and then use it as a ground back at the battery in the boot. So we've got a terminal crimped onto the cable which comes from the battery to the kill switch. Now it's just a matter of hooking up the cable from the kill switch to the distribution box, which we're doing right now. Come time to set up the grounds. So, basic principle on a negative ground vehicle is the battery needs to be grounded to the chassis, and the chassis then has to be grounded to the engine block. So you need to make sure that you've got good substantial grounds. Your grounds are just as important as your positives. So on this one, we are thinking either one of the bolts that holds the sway bar links, or we might just drill our own hole. But you need to make sure that when you're mounting it, it is actually mounted to the chassis rail. Because if you mount to something like the diff carrier, you'll notice there's actually a rubber insulating bush between that and the chassis. So you won't be getting proper grounding between this and the chassis. So make sure that when you do this, you take it straight to the chassis with the same gauge cable that the positive is. So I've had a bit of a change of plan with the ground, and there's actually a thread up here with no bolt in it.
Even better.
And it's closer.
See the one we're talking about. So it's always good to rough up and get clean metal on your grounds. So lastly, before we call it a night, we've just got the Sikaflex, and we're going to seal up each dent in the corner where the battery sits down and let that dry overnight. So, like always, be sure to stay tuned for the next episode where we'll finish the wiring up at the distribution box in the engine bay, tidy everything up, and then finally turn the key and see how it all works. So, till next time.